Hi everyone, I'm Jack the Rambling Raconteur, and this is going to be the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory tag. There's the saying, he was going for gold and he didn't get bronze. Well, I was going for Wonka and I ended up a little bit more Alexander Delarge. I apologize for the Clockwork Orange but here. This tag was originally created by Kelsey at I Read Today. I was tagged by Noah at Everyone Who Reads It Must Converse, and I'll link their videos in the description box below as we enter a world of your imagination. All of the prompts are named after the kids who get to tour Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Prompt 1, Augustus Gloop, a book you devoured in one sitting. Umberto echoes the name of the rose. Doesn't smell like a rose, it smells like a book. This is an outstanding book. I didn't read it in one sitting, but I read it in one afternoon, my junior year of college. Opened it up on a Saturday afternoon after lunch, was entranced in the first chapter, just continued reading the entire afternoon into the evening, and set it aside. And then went out late that evening and had dinner and went for a run and stuff, and just kept thinking about it because it was so fascinating. I was diving, into, I didn't have a smartphone at the time, but I was, getting the computer, diving into Wikipedia. Aristotle's Poetics, what the heck are those? You're just learning. This book stimulated so many different pathways for me to explore. I loved it. Highly recommended. Prompt 2, Violet Beauregard, your most read or favorite work. I have many of those. I've mentioned Watership Down. I'm rereading The Sound of Fury. I read the Bible, every week practically. But two that I really enjoy. One is a short story, The Tower of the Elephant by Robert E. Howard. It's, a fantastic Conan the Barbarian story that captures how strange and mysterious and violent, the sword and sorcery tales can be in the best ways possible. The other, another book that I've read in just about every decade of my life would be Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And again, it originates in a nightmare, and there are aspects of this where you feel like you want to wake up because it's such a strange narrative. It goes into places that I don't know my mind would take me down that path the way Mary Shelley does. So again, a book I just absolutely adore, one I've read multiple times. Prompt 3. Veruca Salt, a book or series that left you wanting more. Well, obviously, my first thought was, Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy. I mean, who couldn't want more of this? But there are sort of two paths I thought about with this question. One is authors who left us too soon, who we don't have more works by. John Keats, Percy Shelley, Emily Bronte. There are so many. Teevee is someone who, great Roman poet, only wrote a handful of poems that have come down to us, but a number of them are just astonishingly beautiful. They're very bizarre. They're not bizarre. They're completely realistic. And then he has this slanted way of looking at the realistic situation and just dropping in these strange lines about sleep or night and how it comes across us. And so just a fabulous poet, someone I wish we had more from. The other side of that, though, are authors who did have many years, but for whatever reason really just kind of produced one work that we all know and appreciate. Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird is a great example. Another one that comes to mind is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. This is an astonishing novel. I easily put this in one of the finest novels of the 20th century, not just in the United States, but anywhere. It's one of the finest novels. It's fascinating. It is strange. It goes into so many different directions. The language is glorious. The imagery is beautiful. It's striking. It's a dangerous book. It takes us into weird situations, and dangerous situations. It puts us in the mind of someone who so few of us could ever actually experience in our lives, and it does it in a way that allows us to empathize in a much deeper way than we could if we were just reading a news article, for example, about this same event. And Ralph Ellison was a tremendous writer, and for a variety of reasons, we don't have many works from Ralph Ellison, so that's someone who came to mind. Prompt 4, Mike TV Unplugged, says the guy who's on YouTube. A book that needs a movie or series adaptation. Thought about a couple of different takes on this. One would be the Canterbury Tales. Particularly if you had the same group of actors and actresses who played roles across the different tales, especially with some of the tales that are almost in response to each other as the different, tellers, as they share their tales, and they're sort of in response to mocking another person's standing or career or profession. And so if you had the same cast of characters who were inhabiting the different tales in the miniseries, I think that would be really interesting and fun. It's also just very bawdy. Another one was Romance in Marseille by Claude McKay, which I read this year. This was outstanding. It was written a long, long time ago, over 80 years ago, but it's, it was just recently published, and it's set in that 1920s, 1930s jazz age. It's set really primarily on the quay side in Marseille, and it's just inhabited by fascinating characters. They're really sharply drawn, but they're also interesting. There are revelations that reveal deeper and deeper layers to their motivations, to little anecdotes we're told about them or that we see, and then later on we have these revelations at the end that shift how we think about that, and the way that an actor or actress could inhabit that role, and knowing that, be able to provide those subtle characterizations. I think this is a novel that would fly off the page in the best ways possible. I would love to see an adaptation of it. It was so lively and so passionate. I loved it. The other one would be Uncertain Glory by Joan Sales, which is a Catalan novel set during the Spanish Civil War. And we have sort of, a tripartite narrative where each one focuses from a different character's point of view. We see what life is like, daily life is like in Barcelona during the Spanish Civil War, and how terrifying that would be, and the ways that people form different relationships or find ways to continue to hold to their values and hold to traditions that are important to them, even as the world burns around them. And it was a fabulous novel. I highly recommend the book, and I would love to see an adaptation of it. Finally, Charlie Bucket. Book character you would want to run a chocolate factory with. I have no idea how to run a chocolate factory. I have no idea how to run a business. I'm an educator by trade. And so I would need someone who's really a fast learner, someone who's very practical, someone who's really intelligent, picks up on things, solves problems, especially ones I don't even think of. And the person who comes to mind is Janie Crawford from Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston, who, especially in the second and third sort of relationships that she's portrayed as having in this book, continues to find ways to assert her own identity, to insert herself into business, into the world and the world's dealings in a very natural, intelligent way. And someone who, it's like, okay, I want more people like this in my life. Well, that's who I would want to be running a chocolate factory with. So that's the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory tag, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Thanks. Bye.